Lately, I've been on a warpath for legalizing prostitution. One of the legendary, quote-unquote, sex workers, that's her quote, actually, Leigh, is going to join us now and tell us why, in fact, I hope she's going to say that that's a good idea, or that's what I expect. Carol, welcome to the Young Turks.
I'm so glad to be here.
So, Carol, we had Vanessa Monet on, not Vanessa, Veronica
yeah,
Monet.
She's a friend of mine.
Yeah, I figured, because she said she was part of this group Coyote that you're involved in as well.
That's right.
And she said that we shouldn't legalize prostitution, we should decriminalize it.
Right. It's sort of a subtle distinction, and sort of activists make this distinction. So what legalize means, according to this activist definition, is sort of an overregulation like in Nevada. And decriminalization, we say that means regulating it as you would regulate other businesses.
Okay, so are you in favor then of the decriminalization rather than the legalization?
Right, we call it decriminalization, but if you ask an attorney, they wouldn't necessarily distinguish.
I got you. All right, Carol, you've been a sex worker now for, my understanding is your whole life? Not your whole life.
Well, I was a bit older when I started, but I did start in 1978.
That's been a while.
And I just work very occasionally now, so it's, kind of more in my past, but I've done it many, many years.
And why did you decide to become an activist here rather than, because most people are a little embarrassed and they don't like the public attention at all on this.
Right. Well, I was an activist before I became a sex worker, and I remember I sat down for the Pledge of Allegiance to protest the Vietnam War. I was a feminist in the 70s. My parents were socialists in the 30s, so I come from a big political family. And I was always just an activist, so as soon as I started doing this work, I realized that it certainly needed some activism.
Well, let me ask you the same question I asked Veronica, which is, how did you get involved in the first place?
It's such a long story, but I finished graduate school. I went to study poetry with Anne Sexton, and that was the semester she committed suicide at Boston University. And, I was always trying to avoid being a prostitute because I was a feminist, and I thought that was really capitulating to men,
Mm-hmm. Well, it seems like
giving
if you're
them
trying to
blowjobs when they weren't even nice to you necessarily.
It seems like if you're trying to avoid being a prostitute, that would be a rather easy thing to do. How did it wind up ensnaring you?
Excuse me?
Yeah, I was saying if you wanted to avoid being a prostitute, that seems like that would be an easy thing to do, to avoid it.
Well, you know what? I was a committed artist, and I didn't want to work 40 hours a week. And this was, I was kind of a hippie artist. I'd done a lot of different things. I remember I sold marijuana. Tried to basically, I was in the underground economy.
And you were in San Francisco, right?
I had finally moved to San Francisco. That's when I started working as a prostitute.
I see. So these are the good old days. I mean, we're rocking and rolling. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. And how does it develop? Like, you needed some money. You said you didn't want to work for 40 hours a week. And you're like, let me try this thing.
I always needed money, and I was always kind of curious, actually. I'd had a couple of fantasies about it, and I was curious, but I thought, no, I should never do that. And then I met a couple of prostitutes. I met this woman. She was an older lesbian feminist activist, and she confessed to me that she did it. And I started meeting these people who told me, it's a big secret, but I do it. And I respected these people, and I thought, there's something there. I felt like it was something to explore. Not too many people had explored this from a first-person perspective, So and I thought, I'm a writer. I thought I would try it.
That makes sense. So, and when you did it, how did you feel? Did you feel like, that was interesting, I can make that happen, I can make that work? Or did you have any qualms about it when you first started?
No, as soon as I started, right away, I just knew it was going to be the center of my life's work. I went down to a massage parlor, and there were women from all over the world, women from Vietnam and from Korea, and I thought that they would be really abject just from hearing about prostitution. And I was concerned, but then what struck me immediately was that they were these kind of strong survivors, and they were nice and interesting, and I thought, well, wait a minute, all the things I'd heard about prostitution weren't true, and there's a whole other reality, and I thought this was a good job for me. I'm going to explore it. And, I remembered, Gloria Steinem, she worked for Playboy, and then she wrote an expose trashing them. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that?
I don't, I have to be honest.
Well, that's like in feminist history. So So I just thought, well, if Gloria Steinem can do it, then I can explore prostitution and then basically see and write about it.
So how do you square this with feminism? Do you like, how did you go from thinking that this is objectification of women to, would you consider it empowering women?
Well, I don't necessarily say empowering. I mean, it's empowering to have a little more money, but then, of course, there's the stigma, and you can also lose a lot, too. It's not so much black and white. It's just, it was empowering for me to find something like this. But, to square it with, I think that basically this is kind of a survival strategy for many women. And, from a feminist perspective, I feel like it's certainly not appropriate for, middle-class, feminist, educated women to go around the world saying, well, this is bad, you shouldn't do this. This is the way a lot of people survive. Now, for me, it was basically out of curiosity. I had a desperate time. I was trying to pay credit cards also at that time. But I think that the way I rationalize it and the way I think about it and talk about it is that we have to respect this as a survival strategy for different women. We have sex for various reasons, and it certainly makes sense sometimes to use sex to survive.
Mm-hmm. And so at this point, when you are in favor of whatever you want to call it, legalizing or decriminalizing it, et cetera,
right.
What is the main reason that you have for that? Is it that as you say, it's a survival strategy and that the women should be afforded this opportunity to do it? Is it, a freedom argument that human beings, consensual adults, should be allowed to do whatever you want? What's the main thrust of why you think it should be legal?
Well, really, too. So it's the idea of who has jurisdiction over my body. So I feel that I should have jurisdiction and I should be able to have sex with whoever I want to for whatever reasons I want to. So it's privacy and bodily integrity. But I also feel that it's and certainly the state should not assume that right over my body, but I also think that it doesn't make any sense for the state to criminalize what actually is, again, a survival strategy for people who are often poor and often trying to survive. So it's kind of from both perspectives.
That's interesting. And you're, of course, also the author of the book Unrepentant Whore and the website unrepentanthore.com.
Right.
That's a provocative title. I'll give you that right now. How has it affected your personal life? Did you lose a lot of friends and family over, saying, "Hey, I'm an unrepentant whore"? That's because that's pretty harsh.
Yeah, well, it was a little bit difficult. I told my mother, but my father didn't know, and so I remember it was his birthday, and my aunt found out. Actually, she saw me on some little TV thing, and then she told my father on his birthday. That was kind of a little problem in the family. But it's been a long time now. I think my family thinks I'm like sort of a little bit of a celebrity, and maybe it's okay, and it's kind of odd. But they see that I'm doing well with it, and I don't think ideologically they necessarily disagree with me. Mm-hmm. Actually, like my rabbi cousin is probably the most supportive.
Carol, let me ask you something. Because yesterday, after the show, we were talking about this here in the studio. And Anna asked me, and it might have even been in the post-game show, Anna asked me, well, how would you feel if your daughter did it? Because I'm in favor of legalizing prostitution.
Right, I know. I heard you say that. I was so excited. I mean, I've been following you. I'm a big fan. So I just heard you talking about that, and you said you're going to get behind it. And I called right away. Thank
you, Carol. We really appreciate that. And so I wanted to ask you the same question because I thought Anna had a good question there. I mean, are you so behind this and think that it's so justified that if you had a daughter, and I don't know what your family situation is there, and she said, "Mom, I'd like to be a prostitute," would you be totally okay with it?
No, I don't have any kids, but certainly over the years I've had many friends who've dealt with this issue. But I understand why they wouldn't necessarily want their daughters to have to go towards that. And historically, what about the literature is about women who are trying to support their children so that they don't have to be prostitutes, and that is actually a big part of this. So, I mean, I think that's really part of it, that people don't necessarily want to, but you remember there's so much stigma. It's such a difficult job, and certainly with criminalization, you wouldn't necessarily want someone to do it. But, again, I don't have any children, and I've seen friends of mine whose young daughters do wind up working as strippers first, and it works out. I mean, they're certainly involved in it in a way that's much better than other ways. I mean, there's such a diversity of conditions you can work in, so they usually are introduced to it in a way that's certainly very safe.
Carol, you've been, like you said, and we talked about here, you've been involved in it a long time, not just the actual, being a sex worker, as you call it, but in the activism realm for so long. And, you coined the word sex work in the 1970s. And so you're kind of a pioneer in this and an activist who's been around a long time. And you've been on a bunch of TV shows, et cetera. And that's where, as you mentioned, you became a little bit of a mini celebrity there. And after all this, though, I want to ask you, because I'm genuinely curious about it. Are you, as the title of the book suggests, really unrepentant? Like, if you had to do it over again, is this what you would do?
I mean, I wanted to be more like Madonna or something, but I guess this is sort of second choice. But, I mean, my mother maybe wishes I married a doctor or I was a doctor. I mean, I could have had a lot of other lives, and I guess I'm very fortunate just because being Scarlet Harlot and which is that persona, I was able to be a sort of a pioneer in this, and I feel like I'm in a fortunate position. So my situation's pretty special. I don't really regret it. Sometimes I wish, well, why didn't I become a big star? I was an actress, whatever. Why didn't I follow that? Sometimes I think that, but it seems like I'm pretty fortunate.
That's a great nuanced answer. I really appreciate you being honest about it, Carol. And I think the bottom line on it is, and by the way, if you hadn't heard, Carol also does a show called Scarlet Harlot, and she has in the past. She does so many different things. Check out our website so you can get a sense of all the different things that Carol's involved in. Carol, I guess the bottom line on all of this is that, just like you said when I asked you the question of, what is the principal reason that you're behind this, which is that you give people a choice. Not everybody is necessarily going to be Madonna. I mean, I wouldn't mind being Madonna either, proverbially speaking. But that we have choice over our own body, or at least we should. And then if people choose to go down this path, that they should. I mean,
right. And well, I think the laws really allow the police to come into my bedroom and see what I'm doing. I think that's a problem. To me, that's a bottom line there too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what about, one thing that we haven't really touched on is basically how the Bush administration has been exporting this anti-prostitution ideology around the world, and you don't hear much about it on progressive news, but you're the only one who's been talking about it. I mean, when Tobias was revealed, and you were really one of the only ones who was talking about the fact that he was in charge of making sure there was no prostitution around the world.
And of course, he was visiting a prostitute.
That's right. And I think that, there's new legislation, it's in the Senate right now, that switches the jurisdiction of prostitution from the states to the Department of Justice, the FBI.
Yeah. Carol, we're out of time, so we'll end on that note, because I think you make a really good point on that. Think about this. It's not just a matter of personal freedom here in the U.S. on what people want to do or don't want to do or have to do, et cetera, and them invading our bedrooms, but we're setting international policy, and it's getting people killed. Because why? You said, well, that sounds kind of harsh. Because we're saying we're not going to give you any funding if this winds up going to prostitutes across the world. But if we don't give them funding, then people get sick, and we don't give them condoms. They get sick, they get AIDS, and they wind up dying. So
well, they made prostitution illegal in Cambodia because of this precedent. I mean, it just happened. I'm very upset about that. You can imagine.
Yeah, no, it has enormous consequences throughout the world, and the main thing is we want the sex to be safe. And unfortunately, the Bush administration policies in that regard are wildly counterproductive, as usual. All right, Carol Leigh, the website is unrepentanthore.com. Thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, Carol.
Thank you so much.